Let me let you in on a little secret. Most people who try to build a personal brand stay broke. They post content after content, get some views, and maybe even go viral. But when it comes time to actually turning those views into an income, most people fall flat. The content's popping, but the bank account's still empty. And why is this? It's because they don't have a monetization system. And that's where most people stop. They keep chasing the likes. They keep posting, hoping that the algorithm's gonna save them. But the truth is, likes don't pay the bills, clients do. So if you ever want to turn your personal brand into a real income and sign high-ticket clients, I'm gonna show you the exact monetization system that I personally use in my business to turn views into clients. This is what's working right now, today in 2025. No complex funnels, no ads, no guesswork. Just a clear step-by-step process that you can steal to turn your personal brand into a real business. Now, the reason for why this video is so important is because I made this mistake in the past. In the past, when I was growing my YouTube following, especially from 0 to 100K, I was actually getting a lot of views, a lot of subs, and I was making decent money. But I actually realized I could have made 10 times the amount of money during that period if I actually had a real sales monetization system. At the time, I didn't have anything, so what I did was I just created content, had a link, and it was like, oh, if you want to buy my course, then buy my course. And people would just buy it by themselves. And yes, it did make money. It was a full-time income. It was great. But I would have made so much more if I just had a system to talk to people, DM them, get them on the phone, and learn the high ticket sales thing a lot sooner. Because when you're able to have that level of service to make someone feel comfortable in buying something higher ticket, your revenue will skyrocket. And for most people, they would rather go higher ticket than selling a bunch of low ticket stuff. Because if you go low ticket, you have to sell a lot. Let's say if it's a $10 product or even a $300 product in order to make a lot of money. But if you're going higher ticket, if you're selling something for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, like one $10,000 client is worth way more than a bunch of smaller clients. So what I'm going to do is reveal the strategy that I wish I implemented back in the day in order to make more money. But thankfully, I learned over time and I started doing it now, and my revenue has skyrocketed since. So I'm just going to give you the entire playbook in this video. Now, diving straight into it, in order to turn your views into dollars, we're going to be using the Founder X sales system. It's a simple 3-step framework that I created to simplify the process of signing clients using your following. Now, the first step we're going to cover is going to be the content ecosystem, and this is where everything begins. Now, if you're starting out and you are trying to make money from your personal brand, you have to understand that every platform is going to be different. Some of them are going to have their advantages, some of them are going to have weaknesses. So for my personal experience from doing social media for more than 5 years now, in my opinion, YouTube is actually the best place to get discovered. And the reason is because YouTube is essentially a search engine for video. Anytime somebody wants to learn something new or search about a topic, where are you going first? You're either going to go to Google or YouTube, pretty much, right? And then if you find a tutorial video or you want to learn about a specific topic, typically it's going to be YouTube. For example, if you're on this video right now, perhaps you're looking for personal brand advice and tips around that. And somehow the algorithm pushed my video to you and you're watching it here today. So you can see how powerful it is. Now, for what we do, YouTube is basically how people discover us, but we use different social media platforms like LinkedIn in order to actually convert those views into conversations and into clients, which I'll touch on in a second. And it's not just LinkedIn, we do other social media as well, like Instagram as well. And then we're gonna start the other channels too. And even when you go to our website, which is founderx.net, where we essentially teach people how to launch, grow, and monetize their personal brand in 30 days, what we do actually is we have a free training. So this is what we call a lead magnet, right? So you give some kind of free value and people give you their information. So how does this work? When you click on it, you're going to see that you fill out a name, your last name, your phone number, and WhatsApp, and email, and LinkedIn URL. So what are we doing here? We're collecting your information, or we're collecting, whoever's interested, and we're going to text them. We're going to send them WhatsApp messages. We might even call them because they gave us their information, right? And also because they gave us their LinkedIn profile, we can send them a message on LinkedIn as well. So we have many different angles to start a conversation with somebody who said, hey, I'm interested in learning how to build my personal brand. And if you're interested in building your personal brand, you want to make sure you sign up for this free training as well. Check it out to see if you want to work with us. And then you will probably get a text from me or an email or something where we can eventually talk over the phone to see if you're the right fit. And of course, this process is extremely simple because all we're really doing is we're making content for free that anybody can enjoy. And those who are actually serious and want to take it to the next level, they're going to sign up for the free training. They might follow me on LinkedIn, and eventually we start a conversation. Now I'm going to give you the next tip to take these views and turn them into real conversations. And that is knowing when to do call to actions. So a call to action is essentially what I just did a minute ago, where I said, hey, if you're interested in learning more about working with me, check out founderx.net. So I am essentially diverting traffic from YouTube onto another platform, which is founderx.net, which is a platform I own, and I can start a conversation, right? The challenge with YouTube is that if you're only creating content and you're not finding different ways to communicate, then it's only a one-sided conversation, right? Yes, they can leave comments, but you're not going to have a whole conversation. And people aren't just going to buy after looking at a YouTube video. They want to talk to you. They want to see who you really are before they spend money on something high ticket, right? And so this is how I think about it. In a YouTube video, obviously the goal is to have as much retention as possible. So in YouTube, one of the key metrics is watch time. How long is the average person watching the video? The longer the watch time, the more the algorithm will push your content to get more views. Now, here's the challenge. If you're telling people to go off of YouTube, to go to your website or go to your LinkedIn for a DM, you're taking them off of YouTube, right? So that would mean your watch time is going to decrease because people are clicking off. So there's some trade-offs there. I know a lot of people are doing the strategy where, you have like one VSL or video sales letter on YouTube, and then you just drive all the traffic there. And then in that video, you have the call to action to go to a website, right? So there's that strategy that exists, but it's quite advanced for a lot of people. You need to be a little flexible with this, especially if you're starting out, right? So the simplest way to do it is in your video, you just say, hey guys, if you want to learn more about how you can work with me, check out my website, book a time to talk on my calendar. It's really as simple as that. Now, a tactical tip on exactly where you should be putting this watch time, I'm going to show you my personal YouTube analytics for you to get an idea of like what you should be doing. Now, for this example, we're going to go to one of my videos called how to cold call, right? So the best cold calling techniques. Now you see it has 180,000 views, 12K hours watch time. It's made around $2,000 since I put it out, which was quite a long time ago actually, but it still continues to get views actually. So in this particular video, if I'm trying to sell, let's say a course on, I think at the time it was a course on how to sell, right? You have to look at your analytics to see, okay, like where is the best time to have a call to action? Now, if you have YouTube and you're starting, you're going to have everything I'm showing you here. Now, the most important part of a video is the first 30 seconds. So you usually don't want to have your call to actions here because you want people to stick around. If this drops like a rock and it goes to like 40% on the first 30 seconds, this video is not going to get that many views. So that's why I typically never put the call to action here. Some people do. They just put it right in the beginning because they really want the clicks. I personally don't do that. Now, where should you put it if it's not there? For me, in my opinion, if you do put it in the first, let's say, 30 seconds to 3 minutes, it does work. But then you haven't really built enough trust to make people feel like, oh, I really like this person. If they're a subscriber that has been watching your content for a while, it does work because they already built that trust. But if they're a new person and they're thinking about booking a call with you, I would actually do it around, 4, 5, 6 minute mark. Because that's enough time for them to have built trust with you. And then they're like, okay, I'll book a call, right? So even at, let's say the 5 minute mark, we have like 54% of the people still there. So that means that's half the people watching the video. So it's still pretty good, right? And then if you want to have another call to action, you could put it at the end. So these are people who have high intent, very serious about, taking the next step. And that's still like 30% of the people. So, rule of thumb, do it within, let's say, either you're going to do it in the like 1 to 4 minute range, the 4 to 6 minute range, or at the end. That's typically where you want it. It really just depends on your situation, but that's what I would recommend. So now that we understand the content ecosystem, if we were to look at it as a chart, this is kind of how I see it. You have YouTube at the top. And then from there, you're going to divert traffic to different social medias, to your website, and get their information and sell them over there, right? So here, typically you don't sell anything on the YouTube side. It's at your website, your email, when you get their phone numbers in the DMs. That is where you essentially sell. So the trick is never is not the right word, but you typically don't want to sell in public. So it just looks like you're giving value, right? So nobody can say anything negative about you, but you always got to sell because you got to make money, right? But you just sell privately. When you sell in the DMs, it's a one-to-one conversation. So if you sell, you're too pushy or whatever, nobody really sees it, nobody cares. But if you make a mistake publicly on a YouTube video, then everyone just says negative things about you, right? So create in public, give away free value, but at the same time, sell in private. Now, the next step that we have here is going to be the setup. And what is setting essentially? Setting is, to me, is basically what you're doing from content to the meeting. Everything in between that converts the viewer into a booked call is what I would consider setting. And a lot of times it's a lot of grueling work. It's a lot of DMs. It's a lot of following up. It's a lot of conversations. And most creators and people who are building their personal brands, they do not want to do this work. And because of that, they're just broke because they don't have that sales acumen. They're not hungry enough to get it. And they're just waiting for people to buy from them. But it doesn't work like that. You're creating the content, you're attracting people, but you have to take the extra step in order for them to want to work with you. Show some initiative, right? Now, here's how we do it. The way we sell is we're only reaching out to our warm leads. And this is what I call inbound led outbound. We create a bunch of content. People know who I am. I have a personal brand, right? And there's trust involved in that. And from there, we reach out to them. So let me show you how this is going to work. When somebody goes on my LinkedIn profile, for example, and you can see over here when we go inside, over the last 90 days, I had 8,000 profile views. I see all these people with Sales Navigator. So if I see anyone who might be a good fit to work with me in the Founder X program, I'm going to DM them, right? So a lot of times they might connect with me, they might DM me, but most of the time, I would say 70% of the time, I have to see them here, and then we got to send them a DM, and that's how it works. And then once we send them a DM, we have a conversation, see what are their goals, what are their challenges, where do they need the most help, and if it makes sense to have a conversation, we'll send my calendar link, and either my teammates will call them and get them on the phone, or I'll actually go on the phone myself and have a chat with them, right? But you see from my messages, it's just DMs, right? We do so many DMs per day, following up with people, and this is what it takes. This is a sales process that most people do not see because they think it's just creating content and just being an influencer, but it's not. You have to be a business person. Creating content is only the first step of the process. If you have no sales mechanism to get people on a call, you just cannot sell. Now, let me give you some tips when it comes to doing this process, because a lot of times people get really lazy. They want to automate everything. They're like, oh, I need to scale, but they're not making any money. So forget all these automations, forget about AI, forget about all this stuff. Just do it manually in the beginning so you learn that sales skill in order to get someone on the phone. If you cannot do it manually, you're not going to be able to do it with any automations. That's just the truth of it. So stop trying to take shortcuts. Actually just do the work. And what do you need to do when you talk to these people? Don't treat them like a number. Treat them like a human being. Actually want to help them in some way, not just try to take their money. And that is the difference between a good setter and someone who's just mediocre. The mediocre person who's trying to just push their product, they sound salesy. They're like the old school, like trying to push a product down someone's throat. But the new way of selling is more consultative. It's more, hey man, like what are you trying to do? Like let me see if I can help. And by just changing your tone and your attitude and treating people like human beings, watch how people will be attracted to you, because they're going to think, wow, this guy is not trying to sell me anything. He's actually just trying to help. And yes, you are selling them something, but the first thing you're doing is seeing if they're even a good fit, right? So you're not even desperate for the sale. If they buy, they buy. If they don't, they don't. That's just the reality of the game. When you come in with that attitude and that confidence, you become more magnetic and people can just feel it. But if you come too desperate and you're like, please buy something from me, no one's going to buy anything from you. Come on now. And the key to actually getting them to book a call is this. You need to agitate a pain. You need to find some kind of chink in their armor, right? So let's say if I'm selling Founder X, which is helping people build their personal brands and monetize it. A lot of people have this dream of becoming a creator, but when they put out content, they'll get like 10 views and then they'll give up. So that is a major pain point that many people actually face. So when I talk to people, I essentially try to say like, hey, what have you tried so far? And they'll say, oh, I posted these videos and I just did it for fun. Don't take it so serious, right? Because they failed at it, and what ends up happening is they kind of realize that they need a lot more help than they thought. And because of that, I'm like, hey, instead of just talking over a chat, how about we get on a call and I can share some strategies and tips on how I might be able to help you. And of course, they're going to say yes, because they're going to be like, duh, I want that free consulting, right? But really, it's a sales call, at the end of the day, because yes, I am helping them. I am advising them. But at the same time, I'm trying to see if it's a fit to work together. And that's why I put the time into it. Now, if there's a fit on both sides, they like my style, they like the way I do things, then naturally they're going to enroll in the program. And that's how it works. So when you're selling something, think of it from that perspective. Like, how are you actually helping somebody versus just trying to take their money? And now the next step of the process is once you talk to somebody and they agreed to book a time on your calendar. You send the link, they book the call, and now you're going to get on the phone with them, right? So typically you're either going to use Google Meet or Zoom nowadays, and it's typically going to be a video call. Usually most people don't do just audio anymore. So I'm going to give you some of the secrets to actually sell, like for real. Now, first thing you have to understand is you need to know who you're talking to and who you're selling to and what exactly you're selling. And the first way to understand this is understanding there's B2B sales and B2C. B2B is when you're selling some kind of product or service to a business, okay? B2C is when you're selling to an individual. Now, let me tell you the difference. In B2B, it could be something like, hey, I'm going to help you grow your Instagram following. You're a business. You want to make content. I'll do all the work for you. That's B2B. Now, for B2B people, essentially when they're watching your content and they book a call, they're trying to see if you should work with them, right? They're basically paying you from an agency standpoint, a freelance standpoint, a contractor standpoint to see if it's worthwhile to pay you to do the job, right? Now, B2C is a little bit different. In B2C, instead of the consumer, right, the regular people, the clients, thinking that, you're going to work for them, they actually want to become like you, and that is why they buy. So if you're selling any coaching or info product, online courses, like these kinds of things, you're basically, the way people perceive you is that you're an aspirational character. And they want some part about your personality or the way you do things or your success, they want to emulate that as well. And that's why they buy coaching, for example, right? So for me, when I sell Founder X, a lot of people who enroll are like, okay, Patrick was able to figure out how to go from his 6-figure tech sales job to starting his own business, to creating his YouTube channel and finding some success and, basically moved his life to Asia. And now he seems like he's living the life, right? So a lot of people, they want that dream too. And so what's the reason why they buy? It's because of that. It's not even so much like what I am teaching. It's that they look at the end result of who I am and they want to be like me. For B2B, it's not like they want to be like you, they just want you to work for them, right? So first you understand this. Depending on if you have a B2B offer or a B2C offer, you're going to talk to the person very differently. Now, regardless of whether it's B2B or B2C, we're going to use something I coined called the belief triangle. And there's essentially 3 beliefs someone needs to believe in order for them to actually buy something from you. They need to believe in you, that you are who you say you are. They need to believe in your vehicle. So whatever method you have to help them make money or escape their 9-to-5 or, grow their following, they need to believe that that system actually works. For example, if I'm telling you that, this is the Founder X monetization system, you need to believe this system works in order for you to buy something. If you don't believe in the system, you're like, no, that doesn't work. Then you're not going to buy, right? And the last piece of the puzzle, especially for B2C, very important, is that they need to believe that they can do it too. Because it's not enough for Patrick Dang to figure it out. They need to be able to figure it out too. Because if they don't think they can do it, or if they put a lot of time and energy into something that they're not going to find success, what are the chances they're going to buy? It's very low because they don't even believe in themselves. So at the end of the day, most of the things we sell comes down to belief. Do they actually believe in you? And if they do, sales becomes so much easier. It doesn't matter about any like fancy lines or, like one-liners or the craziest objection handling. If you just instill that belief into somebody, they will buy. And I'll give you another tip. The belief doesn't start when they get on the call. It starts in your content. Because in your content and in your videos, you need to constantly be instilling these beliefs almost like propaganda, right? So let's say for Patrick Dang and Founder X, like what do I need people to believe? I need people to believe that number one, personal branding is the future, which it absolutely is. And that's just going to be the modern way everyone's going to start a business, right? And number two, I need them to believe in me and that I know what I'm talking about, right? So if you're watching this video all the way through, then you probably do believe in that. And the more views I get, the more social proof I have, and it becomes much more believable. And number three, the way I explain things, especially when I try to make things as simple as 1, 2, 3, right? It needs to come off as you can do it too. Because if you don't believe you cannot do it, you will not watch this video because you're going to be like, oh, well, Patrick can do it. He seems like a smart guy. He can figure it out. But I'm not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm trying to make you guys understand that you can do it too, and it's possible. Because when I started, I was a nobody. I was just a tech sales rep who just started making videos online, getting 30 views per video on my first YouTube videos for months and months and months before I got any traction. So when I tell stories like this, what do people naturally think? They think, oh, wow, Patrick was just like me when he started, and he just learned the things that he went through, and it was consistent, and he was able to find success. Very inspirational, very aspirational. So maybe if I work with Patrick, I can do it too. And you see, by the time somebody actually books a call, they go on the website, they fill out their information, they watch all the training, they are already 80% there. Now they just need to talk to me or someone on my team to make sure it's the right fit. So the sales process becomes significantly easier. So let's get a little more tactical on how do you actually close, right? You understand all this, theory. What do you need to do to actually get someone to give you money? The first is this: you need confidence. You just need to believe in yourself so much and that you're going to do such a great job if they work with you that it just comes off that way. If you are not confident in yourself, they are not going to be confident in you. So that's number one. Number two is, yes, there's a whole selling system, which I teach in Founder X, but to give you like the 80-20, you ask questions and you listen and you look for pains. That's the most important part. Even if your whole sales system's not good and you never sold anything in your life, if you just do this, you can sign somebody. Ask them questions. Hey, so how long have you been trying to build your personal brand? Oh, I've been trying for a few months and nothing's working. Okay, well, tell me more about that. And then you just keep going and going and going, and they will just tell you all their problems. People love to talk about their problems. That's just a human nature thing. And if you actually listen to them, you'll be shocked by what people tell you, because they will tell you like the deepest inner fears or insecurities, all this stuff. Like, oh, my wife divorced me and this and that. Like you'll be shocked at what people will tell you once they understand you're a listener. And then from there, you take all their pains and you just reverse it into the solution. And that is your pitch. It's simple as that. So if they say, oh, I don't know what content to make, I don't know how to sell, I don't know how to, DM people to get them on a call, then what do I do if I want to sell the solution? Off of that example, I can say something like, hey, in our program, we're going to show you exactly what content to make in your niche. We're going to find some of the best performing content in your space and reverse engineer that and show you the variables and elements that you can essentially take inspiration from and do it for yourself, so you always know what content to create. Number two, if you're not sure about DMing people and closing, I'm going to show you my bulletproof template that I use today, every single day, to talk to people in LinkedIn DMs and then ask them for the meeting, get them on the call, in my exact system to close them from A to Z. So there's no guesswork involved. You would just take my template, change it out with your product and service, and you're good to go. And you know what? I'll even coach you on how to do this so you always know you're going in the right direction. What do you think of that? Oh, wow, that's exactly what I need, right? And that was a pitch I just like made up right now on the spot, because it's easy to do if you just take someone's problems and then you reverse it into a solution. Whatever they said, whatever is stopping them from, achieving the goal, just, show them that you can help them out with that. And if you can, and they believe you, they will buy. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated at all. Problem, solution, done. So with that is essentially the Founder X sales system, from content, ecosystem, the setting it up, and finally the close. Now, if you were to scale this business even further, where you're not just a solo entrepreneur, but you want to hire people, all you need to do is this: you put out more content, you get some content strategists, writers, editors, right? Setters, you just get people doing the setting for you. These are commission-only salespeople that will sit all day DMing people on your behalf. Lastly, closers, also commission only as well. And, whenever a call comes up, instead of you taking them, they'll take it too, and they'll close it, right? And so you can see for these kind of businesses, especially in services, coaching, consulting, courses, it's very easy to scale. But in the beginning, you kind of have to do everything yourself. And then one by one, you start replacing yourself. And that's how you build a bigger business. So if you enjoyed this video and you got a lot of value from it, and you want to learn how to build your own personal brand and really take that to the next level and build a business maybe similar to what I'm doing, you definitely need to check out my free training over at founderx.net, where we can walk you through our entire process. And if you're ready for it and you're really serious, make sure you apply and book a call where either I will take the call or one of my expert team members will, and we'll walk you through our whole program to see if it's the right fit. So founderx.net if you want to check it out, and I will see you guys in the next one.